Hey everybody, this is JDGaming back today with another episode of Get Better at Yu-Gi-Oh! So today we're going to be talking about resources in this game, and in particular about moving pieces, things that you are actually able to make use out of from your hand, field, or graveyard, or sometimes even your main or extra deck to be able to make more plays. Let's start off with a quick example to show you what I mean. Suppose I'm playing the legendary Plant Synchro deck from 2011 format. If you look here, this is a pretty typical representation of cards from the deck. Again, not necessarily something you will see in the hand because I see, oh, it's 3 limited cards, this was limited back in the day, that was limited back in the day. Ignore that. But imagine you drew a hand of this in a deck like Plants. What would end up happening? Well, I can normal summon any of these guys, probably not the debris turn one, because I haven't loaded anything in the grave. This will float, these come back so they kind of float, and they all set up for this, and Lone Fire would get me anything I want from the deck, right? But the issue here is something called the opportunity cost. Those of you who've been fortunate enough to sit through an economics lecture probably know that this is essentially anytime you are allowed to do something, you have to give something else up for that. And in Yu-Gi-Oh! We're limited to 1 normal summon per turn. Since all 6 of these cards operate on a normal summon, if you use up your normal summon on this, every other card in your hand, the remaining 5 cards become dead cards. They're not moving pieces anymore. You can't normal your Lone Fire and in the same turn go and normal your Tengu unless you play something like Double Summon that allows you to go beyond that once per turn rule. So what do? We don't want to end up in this situation where all of our hands have horrible cards that we can't do anything else with. So that's why the deck plays things like Foolish Burial, 1-for-1, Soul Charge, and even sometimes these days, Super Solar Nutrient, because these spells are not limited to once per turn. We are not restricted to 1 normal summon of a spell, or I guess 1 activation of a spell makes more sense, and so by playing more of these, we can make sure that we always have moving pieces to allow our strategy to function, even in a crazy situation where we may draw some more normal summons than normal. Decks these days tend to have even more moving pieces than something like Tengu Plants from back in the day. Take for example Burning Abyss. Of course, they use cards like Tour Guide and sometimes even Crane to be able to make easy rank 3 monsters like their Dante. However, on top of that, we have things like Speedroid Terratop along with Takatomborg that allows them to go and make a rank 3 without even investing their normal summon. And all the Burning Abyss themselves are able to summon themselves to the board to be able to allow them to make their goal of rank 3s happen. You see, there's a good mix here. When you're able to use your normal summon once per turn as kind of this additional booster each turn, you get something cool out of it. I mean, 1 card exceeds, yes please, but you get that on top of all these moving pieces that are able to make sure that your hand always has something to do. That's really powerful. Again, compare that to the plants we just saw. Instead of relying on a normal summon every turn where probably your best opening play would be set a Dandelion or normal a Tengu and hope you can float so that the following turn you can follow up with a tuner monster and then go off, these decks can just go off immediately with their moving pieces, and then they can use their normal summon to then compound their advantage by getting better cards on top of that, or more cards on top of that, and they can start building outward very quickly. The great news for competitive and creative duelists is that there are a variety of monsters and spells and traps in this game that allow us to get extra mileage out of our hands so that we have more than just the 1 normal summon per turn. Anyone who follows my channel knows I love Emergency Teleport to death, and this thing is one of my favorites because as a quick play spell that lets you special a Psychic, you can put together a lot of plays for free with just this 1 card. Sure, you end up losing the monster if you use it as like a synchro material. It's still going to be a minus play. We're not talking about advantage right now in this video. But by having a teleport, I can much more easily put together a Psychic Jumper play, or a Synchro Summon, or something of the sort. Heck, you've even seen it in Monarch decks as tribute fodder, and other decks to tech out Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit for a variety of purposes as well. A very well-rounded card that is able to be played from your hand, regardless of the other 5 cards you may have, is definitely going to make your hand a lot better by serving itself as a moving piece. In some of my other decks, you may have seen tech choices like Yugioh, who serves as a defensive option, but also lets you go and make an Xyz monster in main phase 2. Sometimes monsters special summon themselves out. Heroic Challenger Assault Halberd is essentially Cyber Dragon, so you can put it into play. And on top of that, it just happens to be able to net you free resources by searching another copy of itself. New Spiral is something I've been teching in some of my decks because it lets you go and summon itself to the board, which makes it easy to turn its Earth attribute into Naturia Beast Fodder, or any rank 4 material. And sometimes even things like Goblin Bird can get extra mileage out of dead cards that otherwise have to be normal from your hand just by bringing them to the board for you. And then on a more competitive level, don't forget things like Blackwing Go for the Vague Shadow give free materials for metal foes to destroy. Then they can go and fuse with the tokens, they can synchro with this guy for free. Gives them a lot of extra things to do. And on top of that, of course, much like Burning Abyss, a lot of the Metal Foes cards are live at all times. They can just scale everything they want, pop more to search. Pretty much as long as they don't draw a handful of all their spells and traps, they're able to keep their cards moving and get things out from their deck the way they want. So whenever you're building one of your decks, try to look at the card pool that you have and see if you can find cards that are both restrictive to your plays and make it so you don't have quite as many moving pieces, versus those that may actually serve as enablers and allow you to get more mileage out of a single card than normal. You might be surprised at the results. If you have any specific cards that you enjoy using in your decks that allow you to have a little more freedom and use more of your hand, then feel free to share those down below. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please like it so we can share it with as many other people who may enjoy it as well. If you want to see more of this series, you can click the annotation you see on the right, or if you just want to see the last video I did, click the annotation on the left. And if you really liked what you saw today, then I invite you to check out the channel icon in the middle to subscribe to JDGaming for more weekly videos. Thanks guys, this is JDGaming, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.